Welcome back to the Gaither Gang. So glad you are here. Today's video is a bit of encouragement for you guys. Hopefully this video is to tell you how well they integrated back into the public school system. Just to encourage you guys that what you're doing in your homeschool is working. So stick around. Okay, so I am so glad you guys are here today. This video I have been debating about whether I should make or not. After I've spoken to a few friends who are really needing some encouragement lately for their homeschool, I thought that it would be something good to share with everybody. We recently sent two of our kids back to public school for a semester. It was the end of the semester last year. It was the end of the school year last year, second semester. They started in January. We had lots of reasonings. That could be a different video as to why we chose to do that. But I have 5 kids, and 2 of them went to public school for only a semester last year. When you are homeschooling, sometimes you just don't know if everything you're doing is enough. And so, of course, putting the kids back into public, I didn't know if they were going to be able to catch on to what they were doing there quickly, and if they were going to be on level, below level, above level, who knows? Because in my homeschool for the past 4 years, I never cared to compare myself to public school. I never cared to compare, hey, does my second grader stack up against public school second graders? That's just not how I go about things. I just know what each one of my kids loves to learn about. I know how they learn. We make sure that each kid is progressing, and that's what homeschool's about, letting your kids progress at their own levels. That's how I've always approached it. But then we were faced with sending 2 of them to public, and who knows how they were going to do. So that's what today is about, telling you guys how they did, and hopefully it's encouragement for you to just be able to sit back and relax a little bit and say, homeschool works. Okay, this video could sound like I'm bashing the public school system. That's not my intent. I have lots of friends and family who teach in the public school system, and I know that they are great teachers. They do a great job. And why would I put 2 of my kids in a system that I thought was going to fail them miserably? And so that's not my intention. My 100% intention is to encourage other homeschool moms who wonder all the time, am I doing enough? I want to tell you, you are doing enough. And I don't want it to sound like bragging either. I don't want to sound like, well, my kids tested, blah, 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 blah. My intention is to be 100% honest with you guys, to let you know my experience as we homeschooled 4 years, 2 of them went back to public school, and this is how it turned out for us. So, without further ado, I will start talking about how they did. The way we do homeschool, I'm very laid back, totally laid back. I don't know if you have picked up on that through our previous videos, or if you just know me personally and know that I'm just kind of go with the flow kind of homeschooler. We are not this rigorous, you have to do all these subjects kind of, we just can't, when you have a big family. Some big families can, and I know they're out there. They have great YouTube channels, very structured. I'm not structured like that. So, and also I don't think, we don't learn that way. We learn whenever when we can just pick up one day and be like, what do we want to learn about? Okay, well, let's go learn about chemical reactions. Let's learn about electronics and build a car, a model car. And that's just, so we kind of lean towards the unschooling side, but we're a little more structured than that. Anyway, saying all of that to say, by the time one of my kids is in first grade, you know, they might be on a public school first grade level, but they might be super behind in the public school's opinion. My daughter was 6 at the time and then turned 7. So that's really early. Sometimes 6-7-year-olds don't care anything about reading yet. They just want to get out and explore the world, and homeschool gives you that freedom. She was the one that I was most, not worried about, but the most concerned that I don't know if she's going to be able to do what they're doing over there. Because in public school, they're very, it's very important in the first grade. That's when they get a whole bunch of teaching in, and that's when they really need to be reading well. They just can't go about it the same way we can here at home. So anyway, when I put the 2 kids in, it was at semester. So it was when you would go back in January after Christmas break, and they test. I guess all grades kind of test to see where you're at and how they need to move forward in their teaching. And I don't remember what all those tests are called. So my kids went into the public school pretty much the first day, if not, the first couple of days, were testing to see kind of where they were and how they needed to move forward. So my first grader, I sat down at the parent-teacher conference with her teacher, and she had told me, she's awesome teacher. It was her first year teaching, and she just didn't know what to expect. We were her first experience with somebody coming in the middle of everything. We were her first experience with having somebody coming in from homeschool. So she didn't know what to expect. So she went to the elementary school principal and said, what do I need to know? I have this homeschooler coming in, and I'm just not sure what to expect. She wasn't here for everything I've already taught. What do I need to know? And the elementary school principal, who is a beautiful, wonderful person as well, she goes to church with us, said, well, when it comes to homeschoolers, some homeschoolers do a great job, some just want their kids at home and they don't do anything with them. But my biggest piece of advice to you is that to expect gaps. To expect gaps on one hand, the parent may have not taught well, but on the other hand, even if the parent is doing amazingly well teaching, that it's just different. So they're not learning the same things at the same times as we are in public school, and so you just have to be patient with this child because they will probably have some learning gaps, which makes sense and I think was great advice. So we're at the parent-teacher conference, and Katie's teacher says, I had asked the principal what to expect. She told me to expect some gaps, but Katie has amazed me so much. She doesn't have any gaps. She knows as much as everybody else. She picked right up. She, is excited about learning, and I haven't had any problems out of her, and I haven't had anywhere where I've needed to bring her up to anyone else's level. And that was really encouraging for me because that directly reflects what we've done in homeschool. And so that was encouraging at that point to me that, hey, I haven't stressed out over are we keeping up with the Joneses in public school. I haven't stressed out over that, and I didn't need to stress out over that, and she's doing fine. So that was awesome. By the end of the school year, she was ahead. She was ahead in math when she started, but she was also ahead in math at the end. She loves math. She was above grade level in math. She did really great in math. She was on grade level with reading and language arts and all of that. And so she just did great. And she integrated well. At Homeschool, I try and teach a love of learning instead of you have to learn this information and memorize it. We teach a love of learning so that whenever they, are, at the college level, say they go to college, well, you don't want them to skip out on all their classes and just go party. You want them to love learning so they can just learn whatever they want whenever they need to. And that's kind of our philosophy, and it turned out even on the first grade level that she showed up to a strange place and still had a love of learning and was ready to jump in and do what everybody else was doing. And so that was really encouraging to me. That brings us to my 6th grader. So when my 6th grader went back to public school, he was in middle school. In our town, middle school is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so this was his first experience not being in elementary school or homeschool. They were doing semester testing to make sure that the teachers knew exactly where everybody was and, kind of where they needed to pick up and move forward from. Again, he immediately got to school the first couple of days, did some testing. So his results obviously reflected on what we had done at home for the past 4 years. And really, I don't want that to sound like, oh, look what I did. It really has a lot more to do with my children and how they learned over those 4 years, how they picked up on things, how well they did the last 4 years. I had to write some notes so I could remember and not lie to anybody. I sat down with him a couple of days ago and said, help me remember what these test scores were, because I don't want to fabricate that at all. I want to make sure we're telling everybody the truth and what happened to the best of our knowledge and memory. These are his test scores that he tested entering the last semester of his 6th grade year. Science, geography, and history, he was on level. He didn't test astronomically high, but he didn't fall behind. And for those, how we teach here at Homeschool, those subjects, I have never really bought a program in either one of those things. We just learn those things in a group unit. The way we do geography and history is, or all in art and all the other subjects that are not language arts and math, we do all those by learning usually geography, social studies. We learn about like Asia, then we went to United States. We have a unit on Africa we're excited to start at some point, stuff like that. So we'll learn about different continents, countries, places, how they do life, and then also we add in science projects and stuff like that, and history lessons. And so that's how we do in our homeschool. And for those of you who do things the same way, it's much more laid back that way. It opens you up to be able to chase rabbit trails. Hey, that looked interesting, let's go learn about that. So you don't open up this book of curriculum that says, well, today you need to be learning about, we just can't do things that way. We like to learn about the things that interest us. And having done things that way for the past 4 years, it was nice for my 6th grader to go back to public school and still be on level. His teachers told him, there are things that you know a lot about. If you tested in this, you would test really high. But on other things, obviously, you never learned this that we've learned in public school. But as it all tests together, he was on level. And so that brings us to reading, language arts, and math are the other subjects left. Math, he went in, and like I said, this was second semester, 6th grade. His very first test score that came back, he tested 5.8, which means 5th grade, 8th month or something like that. So it was a little bit below the 6th grade level, but that was only because they were doing things there that he hadn't quite done yet, or that he had done 2 years ago and was kind of rusty on. And so a couple of weeks into everything, I don't remember, they tested again at the next 9 weeks. And that's when his test score was 7.9. So he was almost on the 8th grade level by the time he started the last 9 weeks of school. And that's because it gave him time to reorient, right? So it gave him time to be like, oh, I do know what's going on. I just forgot about that stuff. And so once he had, a few weeks to really pick up, and go, oh, this is where they're at. Because he had to switch from his curriculum he had been doing for 4 years and go over to, okay, where are they and what are they doing? And so in the very beginning, he tested a little bit lower than level, but then by the time he tested for the last 9 weeks, he was up, to the 8th grade level, which is 2 grades ahead. So that was very encouraging too, especially because he has always said, I don't like math. He's really good in language arts. And so he's always thought, well, I'm good in language arts, but not in math. And this kind of proved to him, no, you're good at math too. You just like language arts better. And so that was nice for us. And that brings us to his language arts and reading scores. His language arts, he made an A at the end of the year. Those test scores he didn't really remember, because what he was remembering the most was his reading score, which I think surprised everybody. It surprised the teachers at school, and it didn't really surprise him. It didn't really surprise me, because I've tested him at home before just to make sure we were giving him everything he needed. But in his reading, he tested 12.8, which means he was testing at the end of 12th grade year, which would put him right around a college reading level. He was, last semester 6th grade. So that was really nice for us to hear, that it wasn't just my opinion when he was at home that, oh, he's really good at reading. It was proof, right? It was proof that if you give them lots of books and give them lots of time to read, that their scores will just, skyrocket. That's it. Those are the scores. That's how my kids did. I feel like everything they did was either on level or above. And as homeschoolers, not knowing if everything we're doing is working, if our methods that we choose to do that works best for our family are those helping our kids or hurting our kids. It was really encouraging, though I did not want him to be there. It was really encouraging that what we are doing here at Homeschool is working and it is benefiting them. And that is the whole purpose of this video, is to help encourage you, that hopefully you will have the confidence to keep on keeping on, present your kids with lots of books, lots of time to follow the things that they are interested in, and that's when they learn. And if you ever need to put them back in public school or test them for any reason, you're going to be just fine. You don't have to compare yourself constantly to, well, what is everybody else this age doing and learning, and what level, are they on, and how do they need to test? You are doing them a huge favor by loving them every day and giving them a love of learning. I think that's the most important thing, is if they love learning, they're going to learn all kinds of stuff. And they will never be behind anybody else because they know how to learn what they want to learn when they want to learn it. That was very wordy, lots of words. I'm sorry, usually I like my videos to be more visual, but I also know that sometimes we need a little bit of encouragement, and hopefully this did encourage you just to know kind of what happened. But to answer any questions you have, make sure to put questions in the comments if you have any, and I am just so appreciative of you being here. Come back again.